Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Too Many Cooks by Good Games Publishing.
Too Many Cooks is a cooperative game in which you and the other players are working together to fulfill your taste goals. You and the other players play as chefs, and each of you has secret goals that you're trying to achieve. Wanting only green cards in a certain spot, or only tomatoes in a certain row, or something of that nature. There's going to be a grid of cards in the center, and on your turn you can swap cards out to try to fulfill what is on your goals. And when you have everything on your goals satisfied, you can say, I am satisfied, and hope no one screws up one of your goals. And they will in this game. Let me show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have Too Many Cooks on the table. Let me show you what comes with this cooperative limited communication game. What you have with this is just cards. This is a card game. You're going to have different vegetable cards, and they're going to come in the different colors that you see: green, red, blue, and yellow. And each vegetable has two of each color that you will separate at the beginning of the game. You have your easy base cards, your moderate base cards, your hard base cards, and easy, moderate, and base taste cards. You also have stars, which you are trying to earn throughout the course of the game. Now, as part of setup, you're going to decide whether you want to play on easy, moderate, or hard. And just taking a look at the easy cards, you're going to have an arrangement of a 4x4 grid of how you are supposed to arrange these vegetable cards. So we would arrange it looking like this. We would set off to the side the ones that aren't a part of this grid. And then you will deal a number of taste cards depending upon your difficulty that you are playing with. So we selected easy here. We would deal out a number of easy cards depending on what round in the game it is. There are 3 rounds in this game, and so you will look at your rule book here to determine how many taste cards you are going to deal out amongst the players, and you will deal them out as evenly as possible. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like after you set up the game. All right, so this is what the game would look like after you have it set up based upon the base card that you've selected for your difficulty level. Any cards that are not a part of this base card that are going to be out here in this 4x4 grid, they're going to be set off to the side over here in one stack. And make sure you have this nearby, as you are going to need the cards that are in this stack. Now, you will have dealt out taste cards to all the players. Depending on what round it is, determines how many cards you deal out. But these cards are going to tell you what it is that you're trying to make sure is in this dish. Because what you're doing here is you and the other players are all chefs or cooks, and you are trying to make one dish that satisfies all the tastes amongst the players. So in particular here, I want to make sure that there's exactly 3 eggplants. Well, currently we have 5, and that's 2 too many. So we are unsatisfied with this. We're going to have the red side on the top, and that also shows on the back. When all the other players are looking on the back of my cards, they're able to see that I am not satisfied with whatever taste this is. They don't know what it is. They just know that it's not fulfilled from what the card says. This one in particular says that I need 1 yellow onion and 1 blue beet. Now the color on the background of the cards do matter, so you want to make sure to pay attention to that. And currently we don't have either one of these out here from what I'm seeing, so this would be unsatisfied as well. And that's going to be what you do here. Now, you're going to take turns taking one action at a time, and the actions are very simple. The first action that you could do is take one of these cards that are over here in the stack and replace it with one of the cards that are in the grid here. Now, let's take this red beet here. You have to either match the background color, so red for red, or the vegetable for vegetable. So in other words, I could replace this green beet with the red beet, or I could replace this red tomato with this red beet, and the card that I'm replacing goes back into the stack like so. And that could be my action. It would be the next player's turn. Another thing that you could do is you could shift all the cards in a row or column 1 space in either direction. So for an instance, I could take this blue tomato and shift it this way, knocking this red beet all the way over here, or I could shift this red beet 1 space down and that would move this yellow eggplant all the way up to the top, like so. That's the second type of action that you could do. The third thing that you could do, and you can only really do it if both or all of your tastes have been satisfied, you could pass. You could say, I am completely satisfied with this dish. I don't want to do anything. And it would go on to the next player. Now, you would only do that if your tastes are satisfied. And if all the players' tastes have been satisfied, then you win the game. That would end the game for you, and you would earn a number of stars, or you would earn a star, for having completed that particular round. Now, you are trying to do this in a time frame. There is a website you can go to called toomanycooksgame.com, and it's got a 5-minute timer on it, and you will start the timer at the beginning of the round, and you have 5 minutes to be able to complete everyone's tastes. If the timer runs out before you're able to complete the tastes, then you'll see how many cards are left unsatisfied. If it's only one that's left unsatisfied, well, then nothing happens. You don't earn a star, but you don't lose a star. If it is more than one, doesn't matter how many more than one, you are going to lose a star. And if you lose all of your stars, then you lose the game completely. However, if you're able to make it past the first, second, and third round, then you win the game on that difficulty level, and you're encouraged to move up to the next difficulty level. And if you complete it on hard, then you win the game completely. Now, I will say that there are rules about what it is that you can say or do when other players are taking their actions. You could be completely silent if you want a more difficult way to play the game, or you can give some verbal clues to the other players. You can't say anything exactly about what's on your cards, nor can you say anything exactly about blue cards or eggplants or corn. You can't do anything like that. But after a player takes their turn, you could say something like, oh, I love that. That's delicious. Magnifico, or whatever you want to do. Or you could say the exact opposite. You could say, oh, that's disgusting, how reviling, or whatever you want to do. You could ham it up if you want to, but you got to give, not on the nose type clues when you're doing that. Just little cues to let the other players know, I don't really like what you just did, or I really do like what you just did. Maybe do it again even. Those are some of the things that you can do at this game. If you're able to finish the game with any stars left, finishing that third round, then you've won the game. And that's how you play Too Many Cooks. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Too Many Cooks from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So, Sam, this is one of those cooperative games where you have limited communication. You can't really say much in this game other than to say, I'm satisfied when you have everything complete. What do you think about those types of games as a non-gamer?
We haven't played a lot of them. We played a handful of them.
Sure.
So it's not something I have a lot of experience with, and I think it can really go a bunch of different ways. I don't think I really look at it as a gamer and non-gamer. I think this is one of those games you have to look at personalities. There are just some people that you're not going to be able to communicate well without words.
Okay.
But then people that you know really well, we played it with our best friends. It's fun to play with them. I think playing with strangers might be a little bit more difficult.
See, you say that, and I think, just going off of some of our experiences that we've had with these type of games where you can't communicate, and it takes a lot of perception, it takes a lot of observation to do well in these kind of games, because you're watching, well, that person keeps getting rid of those type of cards, so you know they don't want that, or they keep trying to add these types of cards in, so they really are going for that. And I have found when I'm playing that with very observant people, these games do really well. If I'm playing it with people who are just not observant, kind of clueless to that sort of thing, it falls like a rock.
That makes sense.
And then maybe being a little stereotypical here, but gamers tend to be observant, at least in board gaming nature, that they are very acutely aware of what everybody's doing at the table. Now, that's not always the case, but I think that could be the case more often than not. But I think when we've played this, especially with other non-gamers, it's gone over really well.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I think when you first look at it, it looks kind of basic, card game. But the idea is really unique, and the playability, the learning the game is very easy. So I think it's great for non-gamers. And you're probably right. It is good. It's a good way to probably get to know people well.
And I think this is a game, too, that you can get better at it the more you play it. And it has increasing difficulty of gold cards to work on. So you can scale it. You can make it be easy and then work up towards the harder stuff with this game. And I like that about it, too. But, yeah, I think there's something about this game that does itself better than some of those other limited communication games. You know, one of the other kind of limited communication games that we've reviewed here on Love to Hate was The Crew, the Quest for Lost Planet or Planet 9 or whatever it was called, The Crew. And we reviewed that, and it didn't go over so well with you. That was a game that we just didn't really find a connection with on that one because it's a limited communication. It was trick-taking, and you're not a huge fan of trick-taking to begin with, but it was one of those games where you really had to be observant with what other cards people were playing and play off of those cards for everybody to do well, and you couldn't talk about it.
Here's a type of game that you don't like, and now you can't talk about it.
Right, exactly.
So,
but this game, I think it lends itself better to casual gamers because you're not having to jump through so many mental hoops. You're really just trying to figure out, how can I accomplish my goal without messing up everybody else's goals? And if as the game progresses and the round goes on, you get more and more clues as to what those other people's goals are. And if you're paying attention, then you don't want to mess those things up. So I think this game does better, working better for casual and non-gamers in that regard.
Yeah.
For you, let's talk about the fun factor. How fun was this game for you?
I thought it was a lot of fun. We had a really good time playing with our best friends. We played it a couple of times. It's definitely a game where you play it once and then you want to play it again. You want to see if you can do better or do faster or whatever it is.
Yeah, or do the harder goals. Yeah, and it goes quick. I mean, the box says that it's about 20 minutes, and I think that's pretty accurate.
Which is perfect, because we have a ton of kids, and they're always playing around when we're playing a game, so it's nice for us as adults to have a game that can be played pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get to pros and cons for Too Many Cooks. So what stood out to you in a good way with this game?
I just thought it's very simple without being too blah. Yeah, it's simple. It's easy to play. It's easy to understand. You're not sitting there wondering how. I mean, if somebody can't understand this game, then board games just aren't their future. But it's easy to understand. And I really like that everybody can join in and play well the first time around. Yeah,
and I think it being simple but not blah. Another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that is that it's not necessarily that you sit down at the table and everybody understands it and then they're ready to go. You still have to kind of, feel your way through the beginning parts of the game because, you know what your goals are, but you don't want to just keep going, bam, 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 here's my goals, because you got to watch what other people are doing. So there is some feeling it out and it's kind of slow playing the game a little bit and watching what people are doing. So that makes it an interesting, not just, mindless, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that kind of game. So anything else that sticks out to you in a good way?
I think the artwork is, it's simplistic, but it pops, and you know exactly what, what you're supposed to do with all the pieces. You're not confusing any with other pieces,
See, I was going to say if there was a con that I had, it was going to be that. We'll get to that here in just a second. But so you like the simplistic, the mushrooms, the fruit,
I can see, this may be one of my cons. I can see how it could be a little too basic for gamers. I think a gamer wanting to get non-gamers involved, this is perfect. I don't see gamers sitting around and playing this game.
All right. Yep, for sure. And I think some other things we've said already is that it's a quick gameplay. You're going to bring it back out to the table. You're going to play multiple sessions of this likely, and when you get it to the table. And it's easy to get to the table, too. Yeah. There's not much of a setup. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. The footprint is really small with this. So talking about cons here with this one, Sam mentioned the artwork, and I won't say the artwork necessarily is a con for me, because I do like the artwork that you can see here.
You don't like the primary colors.
I don't like the graphic design necessarily. It's just the cards are a little bare for my liking. I don't know. There's a lot of empty space.
I feel like that's necessary when it's such a quick game.
And it is an observant game.
Yes.
Sure.
So if it had too much on there or too many details, I feel like it would distract you from your goal.
And I get that too. I do understand that. I just don't feel like it has a whole lot of table presence. It's not something that when I see on the table that I'm like, ooh, yeah, that looks great. I don't know. It's just something that I would be prone to overlook and not be enticed to want to sit down and play. But sitting down and playing it is a totally different, experience. It is a good experience. So I just feel like the look of the game doesn't match how I feel about the game, if that makes sense.
No, but we'll take it.
All right, scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where does Too Many Cooks come in at for you?
I think that this game needs to be understood to be a quick entertainment type game.
So it's kind of a filler game a little bit.
I wouldn't say party game, but it's definitely not the typical day-to-day games that we play.
Right, yeah.
So putting it in that category and just how much fun we had with it and how many times we played it just the first time through, I'm going to give it probably a 7.8.
Okay, all right. So fairly high for you,
Yeah.
and one that I would say, just knowing off of how you score games typically, that's a pretty favorable score,
Yeah.
7.8.
Yeah.
So you would not want this to leave our collection, is
No,
what I'm
I
getting
think
at.
it's perfect for, my parents are coming into town and there's a lot of games that are just too complicated, but I think this makes sense.
Okay.
This is something we may, play with them.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that going over well with them, yeah. For me, I'm going to kind of be in the same ballpark as Sam in talking about this being a great filler game. It's not going to be kind of the one that is the star of the night necessarily, but it could be one that you play before or after the big game. And for me, I think it's a really good game that kind of fits right in that genre and does exactly what it's set out to do. So I'm going to give it a 7.5, which for me is a game that is like I've been describing, one that I'm going to reach to first when I need that game that can play in 20 minutes. It's not going to be something that sits at the back of the shelf that I won't ever get out.
Yeah.
But it will be kind of more up at the front that I'll think, yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to take that one now. So yeah, Too Many Cooks really works for me. 7.5, 7.8 for Sam. So getting pretty good scores here from us. The game is Too Many Cooks. It is from Good Games Publishing. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.